The Inhabitants, which is a movie that's not out yet, it's actually going to be on video on demand starting October 13th, I believe, was a cool little ghost story. Now, I might be a little bit biased because ghost movies always tend to creep me out a little bit more than your standard horror film. I probably said it before, but you can't punch a ghost in the face. And even though there's some supernatural killers that are indestructible killing machines, at least you have the notion that you can fight back. Ghosts, it's just a lopsided battle. They can mess with you, but you can't mess with them. The movie's about a couple that buys a bed and breakfast in New England in the hopes of renovating it. And while things start off nicely enough, the longer they're there, the more weird stuff starts to happen about the house. I was a little bit worried with the movie because the opening sequence was really bad. It was a couple and, the acting was terrible. They're like, we're going to go to see the witch house tomorrow, right? Yeah, we're going to go see the witch house, but we should have sex. It was so bad. And I got really worried because I thought that they were going to be the main couple in the film. Thankfully, their scene was just kind of a footnote in the film. It actually makes more sense later. Then the real couple come in, and they are much better. Actually, the girl, Jessica, played by Elise Couture, was very good. She took on the brunt of a lot of the acting of the film because her husband, he has to go on a business trip and leaves her alone for a while. And while he's gone, that's when her performance really starts to shine. There weren't a ton of visual effects. They did a lot more with audio cues, which definitely works well in a ghost house kind of movie. The movie pretty much takes place in one location, just the house and the grounds around the house. And for the majority of the film, it's just the two actors working off of each other. Now, if you had two bad actors, it would have been terrible, but thankfully the two actors were able to pull it off and did a very good job with it. There were a couple of cheap boost scares I could have done without, but there is an audience for that, so I don't fault them for throwing them in there. But for me, the atmosphere of the film is what made it more interesting. It kind of had a Rosemary's Baby meets the Changeling feel to it. It was directed by the Rasmussen brothers. They're the guys who wrote The Ward a few years back, and The Ward was okay. I was a little disappointed by it. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was as good as it could have been. It felt a little bit convoluted, but I don't know if there was any studio interference or if there was something that kind of went wrong with it. But The Inhabitants was much better. It was definitely a step in the right direction. This one was written and directed by the Rasmussen brothers, and very much a labor of love. You could tell that even though it didn't have the largest budget, they put a lot of effort into it. This movie is that kind of slow burn horror film where you establish your characters, you get into it a little bit, you throw a few scares here and there, but then it gets creepier and creepier as the main story unfolds. It did leave some questions, but I have a feeling they would probably be answered with a second viewing. If you like the more modern stuff where CGI ghosts pop out at you every 5 minutes, you're probably going to hate this. But if you like the old 70s style ghost movies, you should give this one a watch.